So first up, I'm excited for Justine and Brianna to share with us work that's going on in the developmental psychology group. I'll turn it over to both of you.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, great. So I'm Justine Hoke. I'm a postdoc in Karen Adolph's Infant Action Lab.
And I'm Brianna Kaplan. I'm a third-year grad student, and we're going to give you an overview of the type of work that we do in our lab.
So this is our lab. You are looking at a scarily accurate 3D rendition of our main lab space. So we use lots of equipment and technology to study the development of children's motor behavior. The lab is built like a transformable playground, so everything comes out and folds up, and we can organize the room in different ways to do different studies, which we'll tell you more about. So our lab studies infant motor development, and part of this is studying what infants know about their own abilities and how they learn to perceive what they can and can't do. So to test infants' knowledge and skills, we use psychophysical procedures that involve dozens of trials per session per infant at different sorts of increments. So this is a baby crawling down steeper and steeper slopes until we find a slope that's too steep and he has to change his strategy and crawl down backwards. The last video was a slope, but we also test infants on different size drop-offs. So new walkers like this baby repeatedly attempt to walk down drop-offs that are way beyond their abilities. And even on a 90-centimeter drop-off that's clearly too big to cross, new walkers repeatedly plunge over the edge. They have no clue about the limits of their own abilities. 6 months later, after infants have a few months of walking experience, infants select their actions adaptively, so they can perceive precisely within 1 centimeter of accuracy whether a drop-off is safe for walking and whether it's too large for walking, and they're able to come up with all kinds of alternative methods to get down, like this infant went backwards. And this is how an experienced walker approaches the 90-centimeter drop-off. He knows precisely whether the drop-off is too high, and he uses an alternative strategy to descend.
We also use head-mounted eye tracking to examine where infants are looking and how they make these decisions in real time. So here's an infant on a bridge, and the left two views are third-person views of the infant, and the right is where she's looking. So she does look down at the beginning, but in general, she spends really little amount of time looking at the bridge and looking at her feet. She does use her feet to feel the bridge, and then she starts to kind of inch her way across, but she's mostly looking at her caregiver and the researcher offering her toys and snacks. We also study infants' decision-making when the penalty for error isn't serious like falling, but entrapment. So we have this doorway that gets really narrow, and at this width, they can't fit through because their head is too big, their head is the widest part of their body, but trial after trial, they still get stuck. So it seems that when the penalty for error isn't serious, infants' judgments are less accurate because they don't care as much about getting stuck as they do falling.
And it's hard to study the development of new motor skills in adults because they're already good at a lot of things. But one skill that's new or rusty to many adults is brachiation, so locomoting with the arms. So for one study, we set up monkey bars in the lab, and every Friday we measured how adults improved with experience. And this video is just really cool. This woman is a gymnast, and if you slow down the video, she actually has a flight phase, which is kind of like running, but with her arms. So neither of her arms are touching the monkey bars when she's mid-flight. We also study the development of walking on flat ground. So the gray rectangle is a pressure-sensitive mat that records infants' footsteps. So on the left, you'll see the mom encouraging the infant to come to her as fast as possible in a straight line. And this baby's an experienced walker, so he went really fast and took long, narrow steps. In contrast, this is a novice walker. She's new at walking. Her steps are slow and they're short and they're wide. And it takes her a lot longer to get down the carpet. We also use video-based motion tracking to capture where infants are moving in the playroom. So on the left is an overhead map of the room, and the blue line is the infant's path across time. The video is a little bit sped up, but you can see that little line tracing where she's going as she moves through the room. sometimes we're interested in testing whether experimentally manipulating infants' bodies changes how they move and play. So in this study, we dressed infants in a really bulky snowsuit that was weighted with 15% of the infant's body weight in order to make moving more costly.
We also look at infants' mistakes during free play. So in learning to walk, the most obvious errors are falls. And infants fall very frequently while they learn to walk. But despite high frequency, these falls are not serious for babies. They almost never cry and their caregivers almost never show concern. And they're back at play right away. So even after a big fall, infants are back at play within about 3 seconds. And this infant even brushes off her mother's concern. And this baby's mom doesn't even get off the couch after a big fall. And he's back at play again in 3 seconds. In some studies, we combine multiple forms of technology to study action planning. So this child is wearing an EEG cap, the head-mounted eye tracker, and a motion tracking sleeve on his arm. And in the study, children use a hammer to pound down a peg, and we sometimes change the direction that the hammer is facing. So the screen opens to reveal the hammer. And we can examine where and when children look, how the brain processes the information they gathered, and how that is then translated into movement to pick up the hammer and hit down the peg. We're also looking at how children learn to use everyday objects. So something as universal as a zipper, you do it on your pants or your jacket every day, but each zipper actually really requires specific and precise actions. So this 30-month-old knows that to open the pouch, you unzip it, but she can't get the specifics. She pulls in the wrong direction and has her hands in the wrong place. We're also looking at how children learn about everyday objects from other people. So we had these special child-sized cabinets made, and there's a window in the front so you can see the stuffed animal inside, and the children want to get it out. So first we let the child try to open the cabinet on their own. There's a blue bunny in here. How do you get the blue bunny out? How do you open it? And this cabinet opens when you push the front, but he has no idea how to do it. How do you open it? We can go to the next one. And then we give them a demonstration. Watch it. Look. And then they get to try again. You try. Keep trying. You're doing a great job. So after the demonstration, he went straight to the important location on the door, and he eventually did it. So that's a broad overview of what we do. And if you're interested in learning more, you can check out our segment in the Netflix documentary Babies in the episode on crawling.
And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have now or in the chat. And you can also visit nyuactionlab.com to learn more about our studies and to find out how to join our team. Thank you.